Hey, I see our next guest on standby, and I am very excited. I've been talking about Florida. Our next guest is someone who wasn't born in Florida, but chose Florida because of its freedom. He's someone who knows what authoritarianism is because he's from Canada. He lived through COVID lockdowns, and he understands the importance. Yeah, Montreal, the most locked down city in North America. You know who I'm talking about, David Freiheit, a.k.a. Viva Frei, who joins us now from the great state of Florida. Viva, great to see you again.
Ezra, Sheila, how goes the battle, ladies and gentlemen?
Well, you tell us. I mean, first of all, thanks for making time with us. I know you got a very busy night. You're following things like crazy. Give us a report. Give us the updates. Should we be optimistic? I don't want to get my heart too far ahead of me.
Nor do I, because there's some swing states that we might not know for weeks. And just so you know, like we're simultaneously, people on my channel could see me talking but can't hear you. So I've sent them all over to your channel to hear the audio.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ezra, look, I'm a solo person show, and I got my one computer here. There's massive cause for optimism, because when Miami, I don't know what the latest stats are, but when it looked like Miami has gone or is going or has been radically transformed to red, you have to appreciate what that means in terms of like the broader national trend of Miami going red, which is there's a lot of Latinos in Miami, there's a lot of Haitians in Miami, in Florida as well. And when the Latino vote in Miami goes red, set aside California, that's a good indication of what's going to happen in every state in between where there are Latino Americans who are not necessarily on the Kamala Harris bandwagon. So it's wild. This, we were all saying this needs to be the decisive night of victory so that nobody can complain. And more importantly, nobody can suspect that there's chicanery afoot. And it looks like we're getting there. But holy hell, you think they were actually claiming leading up to this that they're going to win Florida and they're going to get their asses handed to them? And their user base, their smooth brain sycophants are going to realize, oh, they lied to us yet again. Good for another 4 years, Kamala Harris said about Joe Biden before stabbing him in the back and stealing his nomination. Yeah. We're going to take Florida. And now they're realizing they've all been made fools. And the world has seen it. Twitter has seen it. And I'm going to screen grab a lot of stuff when we are done our segment here.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think Joe Biden could have done it? I mean, he was falling apart on that debate stage with Donald Trump. People saw, they saw someone who was in decline, and they didn't hate him. I think they more felt sorry for him than anything, but they realized this man ain't up for the job. Kamala Harris looks like she's losing. Would Joe Biden have lost too?
This is the amazing thing. I cannot pretend to have this knowledge myself. This is Robert Barnes, my partner-in-law for our show, our locals community. He said this. He said he bet that they would not withdraw Biden because he said, as crazy as it sounds, Kamala is less popular than Biden. And I actually bet on Biden withdrawing from the race because I said, no, they have to. And they did. So Robert was sort of wrong for the right reasons. He said Kamala Harris is less popular than Biden. Gavin Newsom was less popular than Biden. Gretchen Whitmer is less popular. And they nonetheless did it. And the question is whether or not they did it or whether or not she orchestrated it. And I believe she did. She stabbed him in the back when she saw $100 million in his coffers to steal. And she outmaneuvered Obama. And she outmaneuvered Gretchen and Gavin. And she stole it. But the bottom line, Robert was saying they would not do it because she's even more unpopular than Biden is. Biden at least has the Rust Belt. Biden has middle America to some extent, or is more favorable there. You take a California progressive DA, AG, she'll be even less popular in middle America than Biden. And lo and behold, he was right. I was right. And the world is seeing it. Like it's an amazing thing. If you get out of your ideological silo and you actually listen to the people who have their ear to the ground, you'll get more accurate information. But no, I think Biden would have performed better than Kamala. Even a demented, kick him in the ass Joe Biden would have done better than Kamala. And we all thought so. But they took their gambit.
Hey, let me ask you a question. You mentioned Robert Barnes, and he's not just a podcaster and a pundit. Like you say, he's a very active lawyer. If I'm not mistaken, he took the case of Amos Miller, the Amish farmer in Pennsylvania whose home was raided. We played a little clip of that earlier. It was a Rebel News story that sort of rang the alarm about that. We had a former journalist, an alumnus named Jeremy Lafredo, and I think Robert Barnes took the case. Do you know anything about that? Because I heard one Amish saying we're going out to vote because we're worried about interference on our farms. And I think they were referring to that case. And wouldn't it be something if a case that Robert worked on and a case that Rebel News talked about was a stimulus to have thousands of Amish vote? And I don't think they're very political people, at least not in Canada.
Ezra, Barnes has been on the Amos Miller case for a very long time, intimately involved. I mean, we talk about it more often, or I say more often and for longer periods of time than some of our audience even wants to hear about it, because Barnes has appreciated from day one the impact and the importance of the Amos Miller persecution. It's Pennsylvania. I'm reluctant to call states corrupt hellholes because some people might misinterpret it as being an insult of the people. Administratively, Pennsylvania is a corrupt hellhole, and Barnes has been on this case among others. He was on the case of the not even the Amish farmers, but the Amish, not the guys who were helping cows get pregnant for the Amish farmers, and they were locked up because they were allegedly practicing veterinary medicine without a license. Locked up in criminal contempt. And so Barnes has been talking about he's been on the Amos Miller for a long time, fundraising, representing, and raising awareness to the point where, he got some local government officials to get involved in the case. He brought it to the awareness of the RFKs of the political sphere, where Make America Healthy Again was part and parcel of this broader movement. It is amazing that the Amish, they don't want to be on camera. They're modest. They don't like to sue. They don't like conflict. And they've now, by all accounts, turned out in droves to vote for Donald Trump because their livelihood is at stake, but not just their livelihood. The health of their clients, their customers, is at stake.
Right.
And you have a government that wants to prioritize all the big ag, the big pharma, the big manufacturing, and shut down and criminalize the independent farmers from doing their job. And so, Barnes has been on that forever. He's been very vocal about it. We talk about it all the time. And I do think it's had, if not a determinate impact, at the very least, it's had an impact on this election. And the Amish have mobilized.
Well, let's see how close it is in Pennsylvania, because I remember when sort of Barnes came in to pick up the baton there, and I didn't know you guys have really fleshed it out so much. I think, we'll see how close it is, but that is at least part of the story. And wouldn't that be something if the activation of a very shy and reclusive people helped save freedom for all Americans when really they just wanted the freedom to be left alone? That phrase, "don't tread on me," very American phrase. That's the Amish just want to be left alone. They don't want anybody from anything from anybody.
Ezra, it's the monologue from Network. Like, just leave me alone in my living room. Let me sell. In the Amish farmer Pennsylvania case, it's not just that they want to prevent Amos Miller from selling to Pennsylvania. It's like within the state commerce. They want to prohibit him from selling beyond. They want to regulate interstate commerce. Like Pennsylvania wants to be the little federal government of America. And so, it is amazing. Just leave me alone. But they can't. And they keep pushing. They keep nudging. And eventually people push back. The Amish are pacifists, wonderful people. And they're going to push back politically. But this has been, part and parcel of a broader movement. It's federal encroachment. It's federal overreach. It's the administrative state that it's in New York where they can come in and steal your squirrel, kidnap your raccoon, and murder them. And people have had enough of this, and the Amish are an example of it. And we'll see what happens. Pennsylvania, it's corrupt to the core, and I don't trust Josh Shapiro any more than I can throw him. Yeah. But the question is, there's been some chicanery. They've extended their voting until 10 o'clock. They closed 5 minutes ago because they had some issues. We'll see where I'm still betting on Pennsylvania going Republican, and I won't trust the early numbers. But may we live in a world tonight where it's not dependent on the results of Pennsylvania, that it's known beforehand, and then maybe they won't screw around quite so much.
Yeah, it's not interesting.
No,
Sheila, go ahead.
Sure. I wonder, you mentioned the trickery and the chicanery. What sort of impact do you think that's going to have on the election writ large? Is it just targeted to these swing states, as James Lindsay told us earlier, or are these dirty tricksters doing their thing across the country?
Well, I mean, they probably are doing their things across the country, but it will only really have an impact on the swing states. But the issue here, and I've been saying it for a little while now, and we saw this in reality last week. They don't control Twitter like they did in 2020. So they can't suppress, they can't flag, they can't cut off links to the Hunter Biden laptop story on the basis that it's misinformation or hacking, whatever. So they don't have that tool. And what we saw last week was attempted chicanery. They cut off early voting 3 hours early because the lines were long, and you get some cop on camera saying it's long and it's tedious, and so we're cutting early voting 3 hours early. 4 years ago, that video might never have seen the light of day because it would have been suppressed and unlinked as disinformation. It goes viral under Musk's ownership of Twitter. You got Bongino, you got Bannon, you got Crowder, you got yourselves on Rumble, which is not bending the knee either. And so it's getting amplified, it's getting the spotlight, and then lo and behold, within the same week, you have a court come in and say in Pennsylvania, they broke election laws by cutting early voting early, and they extended it to Friday. And now in Pennsylvania, what was the latest we saw today? There were, tech issues with their voting software in Cambria County and another county, Republican counties. If it weren't for the fact that the deep state administrative state apparatus had full control over Twitter like they did in 2020, we wouldn't see this, and we wouldn't have immediate real-time solutions to it. And the courts would not feel like they are utterly exposed for public scrutiny. When they can operate in the cloak of darkness, they can get away with denying standing for standing. They can dismiss it for laches. When they can't do that anymore because the videos have gone viral and the world has seen it, they are forced into accountability. And so that's what I think we're seeing right now. There's going to be much less chicanery because on the one hand, they don't have the numbers to play with by way of ballots and mail-in harvesting, whatever. And they don't have the protection of a censored Twitter. And Rumble is out there letting people speak freely and sharing the information and carrying the biggest, most popular podcasts on earth.
Well, you have given me some hope. I took a peek at the front page of the New York Times, and I trust them because any good news they give grudgingly. Right now, they're predicting 291 electoral college votes for Trump, and they're 75% sure of that.
Holy crap.
I'm excited about that. So Donald Trump has
77, boss. 77 now.
Okay.
Oh,
well, yeah. Viva, listen, it's great to catch up with you. I know you're very busy with your own show tonight, so I appreciate you joining us. But it's great to see you. Give me 60 seconds before you go on Make America Healthy Again. You talked a little bit about that when you mentioned the Amish. But what do you? I like to think of Donald Trump's dream team: Vivek Ramaswamy, Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, J.D. Vance, and RFK Jr. That is such an inspired, big thinking, outside the partisan box move. Give me 60 seconds on RFK Jr. and his future.
I like him. It is a coalition. This is the veritable dream team. It's not hyperbole. There's no politicking going on here. RFK had a mission, and he discovered that he could not accomplish that mission because of Democrat scheming. And he's coalesced with Trump, and you have Nicole Shanahan. If you haven't seen their promotional ad, it's the most beautiful promotional ad ever. RFK has a very clear mission. And when he announced why he's pulling out of the race and endorsing Trump, it's because he realized he couldn't accomplish that mission, not because he couldn't accomplish it, but because Democrats wouldn't let him accomplish it. He wants to make America healthy. They can call him a conspiracy theorist until they're blue in the faces. The bottom line is he's smarter, more experienced than 99% of the people calling him a conspiracy theorist. And he's realized that he has a place in an administration that can be truly transformative. And I'm using Robert Barnes's words. I can't pretend they're mine. Not transitional, transformative. And you want to make America healthy by getting them to eat the right foods, by outlawing the awful stuff that goes into foods, by tackling the issues that they've now admitted are issues. Fluoride in the water is an issue. Conspiracy theory of last year is now reality news of today. And so he's found a place. This is going to be, if it works out the way it looks like it's going to, the way it has to, a transformational administration. And then you have J.D. Vance, the young whippersnapper who's going to be at the helm. You got Vivek Ramaswamy, the tech guy. You got Elon Musk, Department of Governmental Efficiency, DOGE, Tulsi Gabbard, this is the political dream team to change the trajectory of America. And it's by the grace of God that we're here, because Trump turns his head for no better reason and survives what should have been a public execution. And we had the miracle of having him to vote on today.
Wow. What a beautiful, that was beautiful. It's great to see you, my friend. You've given me a lot of energy right now. Congratulations on all your successes. Our best regards to your colleague, Robert Barnes, who I think deserves a lot of kudos for his work with the Amish. Keep up the great work fighting for freedom down there, and we'll do our best up here.
Thank you very much, Ezra. I'll see you guys. When I come back to Canada, we'll hang out.
Right on. There you have it. Viva Frei, David Freiheit, kicking ass down in Florida, just fighting every day. What a good egg. Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. Members get instant access to all of our shows, invitations to exclusive events, and access to our premium content like live event footage and documentaries you won't see anywhere else. Only Rebel News Plus members can join the conversation by participating in the comments section of our new website. That way you can have your say too. More than anything, though, you'll be able to take pride in supporting real, honest journalism, and you'll help our talented team continue to do the work to push back on the establishment. We really can use your help. We need it, in fact. So thank you, and enjoy Rebel News Plus.